and Papa dies, all of it is inherited. You get all the money and the inheritance. So if you're just sorry out of luck if you happen to be the third boy born. So you're not just going to get money just because you were born. So some of these gentlemen are coming over to get rich because they can't get their families money. Because they just happen to have been born third or fourth or whatever. Yeah.
If you're the oldest sibling and you're a girl, do you inherit?
No, it was all boys.
Oh!
Boys.
No, we don't. Me.
What if you beat the boys up in the Okay, so
That's not possible.
I was thinking that about on this side about the Native Americans ruling over England. I was just thinking that would just be kind of weird.
It's the opposite way.
Yeah, it's opposite and
What do you mean?
It's just weird to imagine the England people with their accents and then they'll have all this Native American stuff on their face and all that stuff and all the
And they're white.
Yeah.
And they took baths, and they knew where clean water was,
Yeah.
and they knew how to hunt, and they knew how to survive, they knew how to plant food, knew how to cook. Yeah, Maddie
Just
took
talk to a Native American and then you like that. You force them to show you how to be Native American.
Okay, hang on a second. Make sure we can hear each other. Yeah.
How do the Native Americans have that much protection if they didn't have that much clothing as the
They had no skills. They had speed.
They had a lot of skill. They did. They knew the land. They lived there. Agronauts?
You were talking about the third or fourth born son.
Yeah.
Like if they were buying all that stuff, and just say that they went broke, and then their dad dies, and then the first son inherits all that money. Why would the third or fourth born son buy all that stuff when they couldn't?
Because most of the people aren't that smart.
Yeah.
I don't know. Paris
We'll be
City.
I'll pay $1 million for it.
Wait a second, I have an objection.
Hang on. Paris was trying to comment back to Maddie. What were you going to say?
When she was saying that how they had their clothing stuff.
The Native Americans, yeah.
I was gonna tell them they they didn't have that much skill clothing at the armor. Yeah.
They're not going to have that protection from the armor, but they're much more skilled
And
and
they move very
forced.
fast.
They had
The
things
Europeans
like
are going to
spears
be.
and
Julian, what do you want to say?
I was going to object to Adrian because you see, now I know that the first or second born child will get the money from their parents, but you see, what about the first wealthy people? They had to somehow earn their money. So if they were all stupid and stuff, how are they going to be getting all that money? They're just not going to go up to like the king, like, can I please have some money?
Okay, so they're going to have to. Okay.
Good point, Joe.
Kavia.
Well,
I was thinking. Okay, yeah. When people think when it's a gentleman, people think, oh, that's good. That means they were nice and kind and gentle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then,
Wealthy
the
people are
real
greedy
thing that you're
and
saying
mean.
is like, actually, no. It means they couldn't get off their lazy butts and do some work.
wealthy people are
Stuffy
greedy
rich
and
guys.
mean.
Yeah.
What did
Yeah.
John Smith finally had to make a law
Oh.
because of what you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
What was the law that he made? Agronauts?
Anyone who didn't work would not.
Yeah.
What do you
got?
couldn't work?
It got bad enough.
who shall eat shall not eat me.
Yeah, it got bad enough that had to become, become the law. We're not just gonna provide for you anymore, Paris, just because you sit around here and you don't do anything. So if you want to eat, you're gonna have to start
Miss
working.
Crenshaw, how did they? What if they could work? Like they had a disease or they are immobilized? Then what would they do?
Well, I would imagine that if they were ill, that was different. But when he said that, I think there was more of people not working. They wanted to go out and look for gold instead of plant crops or go hunting or build things or whatever.
Also,
The things
wait,
they needed to do.
Wait, you see, Agronauts, wait. Agronauts had to run because his actual law is, the actual wording was, thou who does not work will not eat.
Okay.
If every person that came to the new world, do they all want to
Some came just for adventure, some came to start a better life, to have their chance to earn money that they couldn't because they weren't wealthy. So yeah, variety of reasons,
basically
just differences. All right, let's talk about the Native Americans in that area. Alexis, why don't you get us started talking about what's something that you learned about the natives in that around Jamestown?
They would always, well, they didn't, they would always make goods and services only because they didn't have any and they wanted to, and they couldn't eat because they didn't have a lot of,
Are you talking about the Native Americans or the Europeans? Learn anything about who those Native American tribes were? And
I didn't see any.
don't have anything. Okay, Wesley.
a tribe was called the Powhatan.
Okay, that was, and it was actually a group of smaller tribes all put together and kind of made this large Powhatan tribe with one overall leader who happened to be Chief Powhatan. Okay, or how it found, I've heard it all kinds of ways. Okay, Will, what else? Julian, you need to join us, please.
That was European.
Andrew, I'm busy making.
You know, it is recording, all right? Okay, so all that is being recorded.
But Pocahontas got the Europeans and the Indians to start trading, and eventually I think it said that she got married to, was it John Smith?
John Rolfe. Yeah, John
John
Rolfe.
Rolfe.
And, but then, so they, at the time they were at peace, and when she went to England to meet the king, and when they came back, she died on the trip back.
Right.
All right, Evan, stop talking.
Yeah.
She died on the trip back, and so after she died, the Indians and the Europeans went to war because I don't remember if it said this, but I'm guessing that the Indians thought that the Europeans had killed her.
Well, no, what was her relationship to the chief?
She was a daughter.
All right. A year after Pocahontas dies, Chief Powhatan dies, and a new chief comes in. That
His brother, and then he starts the war,
Yeah.
and then that's when the peace ends.
he was not tolerant of the English, and he very much wanted to drive them out of their land and get rid of them. Whereas Chief Powhatan had accepted them. And how did Pocahontas even come to be in the hands of the English to even get to know John Rolfe and fall in love? She didn't just walk in there and go, hey, I wanna hang out here.
I think she ruled the Confederation of the Indians.
Well, her father did.
Yeah, and then and John Smith saved her life when she was captured by Indians.
Other way around, she saved his life.
Yeah. Well, when I read it, it said, no, she saved his life. He didn't do
If
it.
you read it
correctly,
correctly,
then you have it wrong. Yeah, he said, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did she get into the Jamestown fort? She didn't go, like I said, she didn't just walk in there and say, hey,
Oh, hey, I want to
hey,
get in.
yeah, I want to live here.
Because her father, he was one of those Jamestown's people.
No, her father's the chief of the Native American tribe around Jamestown.
So he earned the thing, so they let her in and stuff like that.
No, worse than that. Julian?
She got married to Pocahontas.
What?
Pocahontas
She
is a
didn't
girl.
marry herself.
I thought you were talking about the one a long time ago.
But why would a girl get married to a girl anyway?
She does marry John Rolfe.
No, I thought you were talking about before that when the girl married whatever his name was,
John
Chief
Rolfe.
or whatever. Question, Adrian. To establish peace or whatever.
She married John Rolfe, and
Yeah.
then the peace came from that. But
But how
my
did
question
she-
again is, how did she get to even be in the fort where she could even meet John Rolfe?
Did she
Why?
get
that
captured?
was the question.
She probably broke in.
She did.
Oh, she did what?
She broke
She
in.
was-
captured.
She was actually captured and held hostage, in hopes of trading her with the Native Americans to get some of the English settlers that were being held hostage over there. But Chief Powhatan would not trade. He would not trade the English men that they were holding hostage for his daughter.
Oh.
So she remains in the fort, and then John Rolfe shows up in 1610. He brings in this new form of tobacco that ends up being the one that they really grow a lot. And then, but she marries, she goes to England. There's the one painting of her that she looks nothing like a Native American over it, I would imagine she looked like. And then she dies, and then a year later, Dad dies, and the new chief comes in, and things kind of go badly with Native Americans. Yeah, Kavya.
The thing that this is in detail of what happened. Pocahontas, John Smith, he got captured by the Indians, and, no, John Smith.
Yeah, he did, you're right.
Yeah, so, John Smith, he got captured by the Indians, so I was reading this book about Pocahontas, and so, he got captured by the Indians, so they were about to, cut his head off and, cut him up to little pieces with an axe. So, she threw herself over him just before they did it, and she saved his life.
She did.
So, after that, it, made peace, with them, and, so then she met John Rolfe, and they got married, and then, she went to England with him. Then they had a kid, and then on their way back, she died.
Right.
And then, when they went back there was still peace, but, the year after that, her dad died, and then, his brother came and took over the whole thing, and then he just created a big, war.
Yeah.
His brother must be messed up.
But during the very first year, in 1607, when they bring this 104, 105 people, what happens during that winter? And it actually happens really for 3 winters in a row.
Whoa.
Aggernon?
Everybody pretty much dies of starvation.
Starving time.
Dogs or horses.
Not horses, dogs, cats, rats. One guy even eats part of his wife, dead wife.
Yeah.
But it's called the starving time, and really it happens 3 years in a row. And you would think that they could learn to plant enough crops and things to make it through that next winter so they wouldn't have to experience the starving time. You would think that they would learn from one winter because 1607 they came with 104, and by May of that year, let's see, 104 came in May of 1607. By January of 1608, there are only 38 of them left.
So they mostly died.
Yeah.
Starving.
There's starvation and diseases.
And that was only in the first year?
And it happens again for 2 more winters as well.
Then how are there still some alive? How many
All
are
right.
alive after that?
So
Well, some come over, some
after
come
the-
over, right?
After the 3rd year, those that are left, we've had it. We're done. We're out of here. We're going back to England. Okay? They load up onto the ship, and they're headed back up to James River.
Why would they wait 3 years? I would have, the first year I would have been gone.
Well, new ships were coming in, but then the same thing would happen with these new people, and a lot of them would die. So those that were left after this 3rd year, they said to quit. So they're sailing up the James River. Does anybody know what happens? Tasia?
If I remember correctly, one of their ships sank.
Nope. Because it answers the question, how come they aren't gone?
I think they got attacked.
Nope.
No?
That's basically they had another boat.
They came upon another boat, another ship coming from England. Alright, do you know who was on that boat? Were you guessing or did you know that?
I was gonna say
What she said? Julian?
I'm just gonna guess. What, the king?
Does anybody know for sure who was leading that boat? You know that his name? You know his name?
John.
What?
John Rolfe?
No.
Just said the
Okay,
Oh, I know.
John Smith?
the people that were left on the boat sailing up, they come in and meet up with this boat coming from England. On that boat is a gentleman, his name is Lord, that's his title from England. Alright, and I'm gonna spell it out and see if you can figure this out. Then it's a lowercase d-e space L-A space capital W-A-R-R.
I'm gonna guess his name.
Delaware?
That's where Delaware gets its name. His name is Lord Delaware.
Yeah.
He's on the ship. Delaware is named after him. If you put it all together, it's almost Delaware the way we spell it. He convinces them to turn around. We've got all these new people with us. We've got plenty of supplies.
And then they all die.
It never wipes out totally because it never completely disappeared. That's why it's the first permanent.
Because it never disappears.
It
So
never
basi-
disappears.
So basically he was lying to them?
No, he convinced them. I mean, literally, he's got a boat full of supplies and some more new settlers to help start over again for the third time, really. Convinces them to go back, and they do go back to Jamestown. Now, 1610, John Rolfe shows up. There was a tobacco that was already there in Virginia, but when they smoked it, they talked about it burning their throat really bad. So they,
Oh, they died so much.
so they really didn't like it. But when John Rolfe shows up, he brings with him a milder form of tobacco that he's gotten from Trinidad, which is out in the Caribbean. Alright, and he brings that, figures out how to make it grow there in Virginia, and that's where it all starts. Because what does tobacco become for the settlers of Jamestown? Asia?
I think it becomes one of the
A plant. It becomes
It is a plant.
Will.
Now you're not?
England school.
It is, they do call it England's gold because why? Why do they name it that?
it covers them like 100,000 euros a year. So
They didn't even have euros yet, but,
yeah, that's their currency.
right. It takes off. People back in England love it. They began by selling it just to the pipe smokers, and then it goes from there. To the point of, how much can we plant? We need to plant more. The more I plant, the richer I'm gonna get. The more I plant, the more I have to sell. Therefore, I'm gonna make more and more money. I'm gonna ship it back to England because everybody in England wants it. So it becomes this, it's called England's gold. It is a cash crop. You can buy anything you need by trading for tobacco, with tobacco. That is you don't need money, you just need tobacco. So if you need more and more land, so you can grow more and more tobacco, so you can make more and more money, what's happening to the land there around
It's
Jamestown
getting.
and the Native American land on top of that? Alexis?
They're not getting. Well, they are getting a lot of people. Well, no, they're not getting a lot of people because they keep selling stuff and they don't have enough resources for them.
Who's they? You talking Europeans or Native Americans?
The Europeans.
We're
No, the
gonna-
Native Americans because
Native Americans are losing their hunting grounds because now the Europeans are growing field after field after field of tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why don't they just like steal back their land?
Cut down the.
Hang on, I can't hear you.
and
Trin?
the land is becoming so it's like getting voted that.
Okay. If you're growing more and more tobacco in the fields, you need what?
People.
You're gonna need people to work. Okay, who are
So
those
they're
people?
getting more crowded.
Well, they're gonna get more crowded, but who's gonna work on your large, this is where plantations begin. Plantations are huge farms, and these people growing tobacco, and the people who own that land are extremely wealthy, will become extremely wealthy. But who are the people that are gonna work for them in those fields?
The poor people.
Tori?
The settlers?
No, well,
Poor people. Oh,
it's two different groups of people.
Native Americans.
Well, yes, and yes, but they're called something. No. What? No. Who's gonna come work these fields? Ishrak?
Slaves.
Yeah. Okay, two people will come. 1519, the Dutch bring the very first enslaved Africans to the New World. First time we have African slaves here. 1519, brought by the Dutch. Not 1519, 1619, sorry.
Why the Dutch?
They actually had acquired them from some trade with the Spanish.
Why the Spanish?
So, we've got first African slaves coming, and we got poor people. Now, out of poor people can't afford to get by a trip on the ship to come across, so they agree to come across and say work for Will for 7 years. So Will's gonna pay for Maddie's voyage across the waters, and
I'm wealthy.
she has agreed as the trade-off that she's gonna work for you for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, she's free to go. Slaves were never free to go.
They had to come and
Okay.
they had to stay until
So
they
they
died.
Now,
moved to
these people that came in trade of work in this contract or agreement for 7 years had a specific name that was put to them that's very important for you to remember and learn. Anybody know the term? Yeah,
I was going to say something different.
okay, I'm looking for the term. You know the term?
Nomads?
No. Okay, you need to write it down if you don't have it in there. They are called indentured servants.
Oh,
INDENTURED. Okay, indentured servants. Yeah.
I was going to say, later on when, fiction gets developed, in some parts,
Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll pick up there and definitely get some more about that information. If you can help pull the tables back real quick before you go, I would appreciate it.
It's already happened.
People like things, texting and
Still happening, it will be like, drugstores will be like famous. Drugstores will be going out
like Speedway and stuff, they're gonna be famous. All those cigarettes lined up on the wall.
Whoa! I'm filmed! People always don't keep getting it. People always don't care. It's gotta be sick of can't open the door, but there's that thing. You know the one that's close to sponsored by YouTube. Look at all the glass.
Miss Winslow, a long time ago. Miss Crenshaw, back at that time, Speedway did have like all those cigarettes in the wall and stuff.
God! They'll be going like, okay, I'll buy this money.